Hello, this is Manish Patel from Ichimoku Today is August 18, 2013. This is our Ichimoku analysis for the futures market. We're going to cover everything from commodity futures to natural gas, corn, soy, lumber, cotton, sugar, bonds, everything out there. Okay. Apologize for not. I know we've gotten a lot of email requests to go back into our weekly, bi-weekly format. It's kind of been the summer, so priorities being more towards the family. But I'm sure after our Labor Day holiday, which is the first weekend in September, we'll get back into the groove of doing these more on a frequent basis. Um, this is our normal disclaimer. This is for education use only. We're not soliciting you to buy or sell any particular instrument. Today's charts you're going to be basically seeing from TradeStation. Here are our contact details here, ichimokutrade.com. You could also email us here or contact us at any of our global office locations here. Also, off our website, ichimokutrade.com, it's free to register and everything. You could access our blog, our Twitter, our Facebook, free videos, multiple time frame email alerts, and a lot more other things out there. Especially we look on Twitter. If you guys look there, in the last couple of weeks we've been posting a lot about corn and gold and out there as far as the future markets, and you can kind of see major support resistance levels that we've been keying off for our trading and so forth. um, that's it. So let's go and straight into uh, TradeStation. And right now, currency's up. So let's do futures, and let's minimize this. The normal procedures, if you guys remember, on the left-hand side is the daily time frame, and the right-hand side is basically the weekly time frame. So let's start off here, and that's not corn. This is soybean oil, and you could see here this is a bearish trend down. Not a lot of people been looking at this, but it's interesting because if you look at soybean oil and take a look at soy in a minute, you got a little different scenario going on. So soybean oil has been in a bearish trend for a while. Not a lot of people have been talking about it, but it actually broke out right here on this date right here, and not a lot of people have been noticing it. But this has been a nice trend going down that no one's talking about at all. I know a lot of people talk about soy and corn, bonds, crude oil, and gold, and all that. But believe it or not, this has been a silent winner out there, and you could probably see this is going to be the commodity that's trending the best right now, and has been trending the best right now for a while. But last week you could see it kind of did a little pullback, but this is still in a bearish trend. Resistance on this one's going to be basically 45.13. Support on this one's going to be about 42.58 moving forward. Okay. Next you got here is basically the corn. You could see corn here basically broke out to be bearish too. So you could see a lot of the commodities are doing that. But corn recently did that in the last couple of weeks. Actually, last 4 weeks. Yes, last week you could see a lot of the commodities kind of bounced off the bottom. So the support on this one is going to be about 466.78. Resistance on this guy is going to be 508.58. Okay. This is cocoa. Cocoa here, you could see basically popped out of the clouds. So the sentiment on the weekly time frame is bullish. But this thing is still consolidating to a point. There's not really much going on. Resistance on this one is going to be 2,500. Support on this guy is going to be about 23, I would say 35. Crude oil. Bullish breakout here, really is consolidating. The consolidation here is not doing it really good. It needs to continue to move forward. It's got to break that 408 level, which is not doing that at all. If it breaks below 405.58, which is a support, this thing does have a tendency it's going to pull back to at least 175, and then at that point it could pull back all the way to 97. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens here. If it breaks the resistance at 108 right now, this is going to start a major trend, which is very strong. If it pulls back to 97.35, that'll be a good pullback, believe it or not, to maybe possibly going long after that. But due to the huge move that that 90 pullback to the 97 level is still pretty bullish trend attack. Can't speak today. Cotton. If you look at cotton, just consolidating. However, it's kind of getting close to its resistance as far as the weekly is concerned. And if it breaks this resistance up here, it can have a tendency of sitting there breaking out. So 94 level is kind of the major resistance level. And support on this guy is going to be basically 88.06. as we move forward. But you could see here the huge movement here on the daily time frame. So the daily is trending, but the weekly is still not yet because it's in a consolidation pattern. Dollar, I'll have to check what's going on there. Let's go here. Feeder cattle. Feeder cattle right now really not doing anything. Still bearish and bearish trending, believe it or not, until it breaks its resistance at 155 on the weekly time frame. Support on this guy is going to be basically about 152 moving forward. But it is bullish trending on the daily, and it is trying to sit there and flip the weekly to a point. It goes for a major pullback, but this is still overall bearish. So even if the daily looks bullish, it still is bearish right now. To 5-year treasury notes, we're kind of skipping all over the place right now. You could see basically went below, had a bearish trending here, had a huge movement up, bounced off the resistance level, and right now it could sit there and retest the bottom low, which is this support at 120. Resistance on this one is going to be 122,02. Okay. Heating oil, if you look here, really not doing anything at all. Resistance is basically 3.0546. Support on this one is going to be 3.0273. Coffee is basically trending, still trending, continue to trend since last year and still taking its movement going down. Slowly, methodical movements going down. Resistance on this one's going to be 127.38. And if it breaks that, it's still bearish trending, believe it or not. It will be for a long time. It's just this thing needs bottom, is kind of oversold and kind of needs a major pullback right now, but it hasn't even had a medium pullback to about 136.32 level. Support on this one's going to be critical right now at 122. Live cattle, again, this is bearish trending too. It's at a resistance level right now of 123. Didn't break it, so it's kind of bouncing around right now. Support on this one's 120. It does need a major pullback to the top side. If it could get to about 125, that'd be great for a major pullback, but it won't do that until it could at least sit there and break the resistance level at 123. Lean hog is bullish. Notice this is kind of bullish compared to the other meat-related futures products. It is butting against a major resistance right now. Let's just call it 100, which is a nice even number. But this is consolidating big wide range between 86 and 100. If it could break 100, this thing is going to start a trend long term from the daily side, and you could the weekly side. And you can see the daily is very bullish, but support on this one is going to be 97,250. Natural gas, you could see here it's kind of consolidating here on the weekly time frame, but you could tell it's basically bearish on the daily here. It's got to the bottom here, which is the bottom of the consolidation pattern, and kind of did a nice little bottom here. Support on this one's going to be 3.253. Resistance is going to be 3.484. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens here. But our guess is, based on the charts right now, it'll sit there and go up to resistance level, and then at that point it'll probably sit there and stop and then go back down, and does have a possibility of breaking the lows, so keep an eye on this one for sure. Oats, not really doing anything at all. This thing is just sitting there going back and forth. Resistance on this guy is going to be about, let's just say 370, and support's going to be around about 351 moving forward. OJ, orange juice, nothing really going on here too. This is kind of a boring one. Minor support is going to be basically 130. Resistance on this one's going to be about 138. Platinum, you could see a lot of the metals kind of moved last week. You could see the little upward movement here. However, this is still bearish, believe it or not. And the daily looks bearish because it broke out of the cloud, but the weekly still is not. It basically bounced off a major resistance, which is 1520. It's got to break that in order to go to a major pullback, which will be trying to get to about 1575. And at that point, it'll be the bottom middle of the consolidation, believe it or not. So basically, that's our resistance level. Support is going to be basically 1450. Gasoline. Gasoline's really not doing anything here. It's still bullish trending as far as long term is concerned. It's gone for a major pullback. It's got to sit there and hold the 2.8844 level right now and break the resistance, which is kind of stuck around at basically 3.05. It could break the 3.05 level, then this thing can have a possibility of retesting the high, going past 3.10 and going to 330. But if it breaks the support level of 2.88, this thing is going to sit there and try to make a move down to about $2.60 or roughly around that range. Rice consolidating. It's at the bottom of the consolidation pattern, kind of flirting around to trying to break the support of 15. If it does, it's going to start a long-term trend down. Resistance on this guy is going to be roughly around 15.70. Here's soybeans. And look at soybeans here. Remember soybean oil, which we looked at a minute ago, was bearish? Soybeans here, if you look on the weekly time frames above the cloud, so it's bullish. It's kind of an inverse relationship. So a lot of people have been looking at soy and saying there's nothing there, so they don't even bother to go look at soybean oil, which was way up here on the first one that we talked about here. And you could see this is bearish, and then soy over here is basically bullish and consolidating. So soybeans have pretty much gone for a major pullback, and really right now it needs to sit there and break, I would say about 1300 level. If it does, it could sit there and start retesting the high way up here, but it's got to sit there and make that movement going up now. Major support on this one, which it held very nicely, which is around 1184. Resistance, as we talked about, is 1300, but 1184 was a great buying opportunity for anyone that took it. It's interesting because you could have gone long soy and then gone long soybean oil, and that would have been a great pairs trade going forward because of the inverse correlation that just took place. Sugar here is still bearish trending here. It's going for a major pullback right now. If you look, it basically bounced off a resistance level roughly around 1370. Sorry, 1730. Support on this one's going to be 1671. And really, believe it or not, the next resistance is going to be 1760. But definitely keep an eye on this one. The reason why is if it holds a 1671, it's actually may buy some time to actually go bullish to basically get to 1760. And at that point, it could break that to go for a major pullback. And it'll start a bullish trend over here. But our timing elements are still telling us that it's got a couple of months before it could even start to look bullish. So definitely keep an eye on this for the next couple of months and see how things go. Now we'll go to the major one. A lot of people have been looking at gold futures here. If you look at gold futures here, it's actually in counter trend on all right now. So we've been talking about this at Twitter, where we bought at 1285 to go long from the mini gold future perspective. It got to about 1345, 1340 roughly around there, which was a minor resistance level. And at that point, there's no being high probability trade. It looks like it's trying to get to 1400. The question is when it's going to do that. But it looks like it's got to sit there and consolidate a little before it could get there. Or if it's very strong, it's going to get to 1400 level very, very fast. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks with this. Most people are bullish because there's a seasonal pattern coming up where it tells them it's bullish, but be very careful of the seasonal patterns. Soybean meal, just like soy, but inverse related to soybean oil, is bullish. It kind of held the support at 348.50 very well. It's trying to get it to its pivot high, which is resistance at 400. If it breaks that, then this can have a tendency of retesting the high. So definitely keep an eye on this one. So soybeans and soybean meal, if they get to their pivot high and break that resistance, then they do have a possibility of retesting this major pivot high up there. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that one moving forward. Let's go look at 2-year Treasury notes. Nothing really going on. This thing's just consolidating. Resistance on this one's 110,08. Support on this one's 110,00. 10-year. And you could see there's a lot of different things going on between the 2, the 5, and the 10. You'll see in that also in the 30-year, and different relationships going on. So you could see the 2 years kind of bullish long term, And if you look here, the 10-year is basically bearish. So that's an interesting relationship going on right now. And you can see here, this is below the clouds, bearish. It bounced off a resistance at 127.02 and it's trying to head to a support, which is going to be roughly around, let's just say 124 to make it easy. So that's the support there. And now you got your 30-year here, which is basically even more bearish and everything. And you could see here, basically, it is very, very bearish. It held the support roughly around 132. Resistance on this one's going to be 135, 31, 32. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But if you look at all of them here, and you could see the 2-year is kind of still bullish. And where's the other one? Where's the other one? I think I just missed it. Looking for the 5-year. I really need to put these in order. Anyways, the 2-year is still very strong, bullish, and here's the 5-year. And you can look at the 5-year, it's bearish. So the sentiment as far as a weekly time frame is concerned, all of them except the 2-year are bearish as far as the weekly is concerned. And you can see this is bearish, and you can see it's very close to the top bottom of the cloud here. On the 2-year, you can see it's bullish. You can see the 10-year is bearish, and then the 30-year is even more bearish. So if you look at the 2-year, it's bullish, the 5 is bearish, and then the 10-year is more bearish than the 5-year, and the 30-year is more bearish than the 10-year. So it's an interesting correlation that's going on right now as far as the bond futures and the treasury note futures are concerned. So in theory, you could actually do a pairs trade right now where you could go long the 2-year and go to short to the 30-year, but you got to be very careful putting on the right now. The reason why is the 30-year is at a major support right now. So it's interesting on those correlations right now as we move forward. Wheat, if you look here, is bearish trending right now, still moving forward, going down on both the daily and weekly. Now, a lot of people are talking about this one, but you should be. I would say 600 is going to be its major support. 644 is going to be its minor resistance level moving forward. And the next one, I love this one. Reason why this has been a great pairs trade. Well, believe it or not, we've been long silver and short gold, and the reason why is the silver is at a major support on the weekly time frame, which is basically going back for years. Even though this looks more bearish than gold right now, but silver is at a major support, whereas gold was on a minor support when it pulled all the way down. Silver right now is it's hitting against a major resistance, which is about 20.665. Support on this one's going to be 19.89. And then lastly, you got copper here, which is basically still bearish, believe it or not. Resistance on this one's going to be 3.38, and support's going to be 3.168 moving forward. I think that's it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to... I can't even find the PowerPoint anymore. Here it is. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Here are our contact information. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.